Welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and streaming live at PWRshow.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and the Cause, here with you from our downtown Milwaukee studios. And oh, boys, what a night. This could be the biggest night in professional wrestling history. It is.
Late December back in '63. Oh, by the way,
the Four Seasons? Frank,
right.
Do you like them better than the flock of seagulls?
Frank never liked the flock of seagulls. He had the hairdo, never liked the band.
But I didn't
understand.
I ran.
Very, very far away.
We've got a lot to cover tonight, including an interview with TNA President Dixie Carter, which is going to air tonight as well as it did last week. Dixie had a lot of interesting things to say about TNA and about some of the future plans and some of the changes coming to TNA. Again, we'll have that for you as part of this program tonight. Also, we're going to talk about Rey Mysterio's departure from WWE, at least as temporarily as it may be. This week in history, more on Bryan Danielson signing with WWE. We've got information on the PWR Fantasy Draft and a lot of controversy surrounding Ric Flair. Gentlemen, let's start now, though, by talking about the Belly Welly Raw from tonight, where Dusty Rhodes was the guest host.
Loved it. Good show tonight. Good show from the top. Ended well. We'll talk about the ending, but I liked it. If you remember Dusty Rhodes from back when, just kind of seeing
everybody remembers Dusty Rhodes.
I liked it. I enjoyed the show tonight.
Well, remember, you can call us, folks, and be a part of the program. The number 276-ESPN here in southeastern Wisconsin, 276-ESPN, or all over the world at 1-800-990-ESPN. Again, that's 1-800-990-ESPN. We're also going to be, as we're streaming live video at our website.
We are?
We are live.
What are we doing?
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live! Hey, where's the camera at? Is it right over there? Hi! I hope you enjoyed that.
We are going to be tweeting from that live video stream as well. So join us on Twitter, PWR on Twitter as well. Meathead, your thoughts on WWE Raw? We saw Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton in the main event for the WWE Championship, where Michael Cole even went as far to say as, who is John Cena going to face at breaking point? Is it either going to be Randy Orton or Cody Rhodes? Like, that's a real question.
Right.
Dusty, throwing the Dusty swerve in there.
Are you asking me questions, or are you just going to keep talking?
I'm setting it up for you to make sure you're prepared, because I know there are parts of the show you may not have seen.
I saw more of the show than you think.
Good, then go. I'm not going to set you up anymore.
All I need to say is why Dusty Rhodes, who was the celebrity person that wasn't there, that was supposed to be there, because Dusty Rhodes, as you know, is a WWE employee. And
what's wrong with that? So is Ted DiBiase.
There's nothing wrong with that at all. But the question, again, is who should have been there? Those are fallback guys. I mean,
there's a lot of people that some wrestling fans don't know that he works for him back.
But we're talking about legitimately. We're talking about the fact that...
Okay, the fans that really follow WWE know that he's part of the company. But, most of them say, hey, it's Dusty Rhodes. Haven't seen him for a while. So you got to remember who you're dealing with as far as.
So I understand where the demographic is. I understand where the audience is, but I'm talking about business. I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about the business. Who was the person that was supposed to be there tonight that they had planned on? Who fell through, and why was it Dusty Rhodes?
The rumor is it was supposed to be LeBron James tonight. We don't have that confirmed, but that's what the reports are indicating out there. But it's smart of WWE to have these fallbacks, if you will, to utilize on weeks where they can't get the Bob Barkers of the world.
I was shocked when I heard that. And I think
Bob
Barker, he has to be at least 85 years old.
So apparently he's not taking a bump like Frank Cosentino. So, Frank, you act like an 85-year-old man.
We don't know if he's going to take a bump.
Yeah, so Bob Barker's better than Frank.
Well, his career is over. Mine is just starting.
Bob Barker, the guest host, announced for Raw next week.
I don't have a better excuse than that.
Tonight as well, with Dusty Rhodes as the guest host. In the back was D-Generation X for a good portion of the night, talking about the rise and fall of WCW DVD recently released by WWE. We're going to talk more about that DVD as this show progresses. But here's my question. If you were trying to sell a DVD, why would you bury the company that you're highlighting on the pay-per-view, which is what they did tonight? I will give them credit. The Shockmaster thing was funny. However, the continued burial of Kevin Nash, I'm not sure how justified or how fair that is to big, sexy Kevin Nash, which they referenced on the show tonight, also talking about why WCW failed, which was that they just used up a bunch of old WWE guys. And Shawn Michaels sounded very familiar when he said that, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
And this is just my opinion alone. What they're trying to do is have Kevin Nash say something to the TNA fans, which gets them to now purchase something.
Do you honestly think that WWE is reaching out to TNA fans through that's not what that company does.
I think Kevin, they're hoping for Kevin Nash to say something. Kevin Nash has the Facebook pages and the Twitter pages and everything.
Well, whether he says anything or not,
he might.
Whether he says anything or not, they're burying a current TNA star.
It's just a guess on my part why they did that.
It was comical, though, especially the Shockmaster gimmick.
The Shockmaster thing was, well, now you got to go
funny.
to YouTube and see it if you hadn't seen it. The Shockmaster.
Or maybe they'll show it on ECW next week.
Now that part I don't get at all. What they're going to do at ECW next week.
Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. The match from WrestleMania 25 is going to be aired on ECW tomorrow night. I don't know if they're going to have any live action in addition to that, but
I have to
what
ask
a waste of a program.
It is.
Why?
That's the question.
That match was at least 20 minutes long.
Oh, it was a good half hour.
If not longer. As a matter of fact, I just watched it for the first time yesterday in its video form after being there live for it. And, hell, it's a great match. Don't get me wrong. It's a great match. You got to see a lot of it on the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania on NBC this past weekend. But
it's also 6 months old.
Exactly.
It's also.
But here's what I
They're
wonder.
going to show 30 minutes straight. They're going to show commercials. That's going to take up almost the whole hour.
Here's what I wonder.
Why? Is there somebody on ECW, Frank, you want to see?
Well, maybe a newer star.
Who?
Anybody.
Who?
Anybody but another match.
Abraham Washington? You want to watch Abraham Washington?
Throw Christian on there.
He is on there every week.
Sometimes he's on his own.
Then show him again. Why not?
Nobody. That was a pun, Frank. You missed it. It's okay.
But here's what WWE might be capitalizing on, and from the business standpoint, it makes some sense. The 25th anniversary of WrestleMania special on NBC this past weekend was brilliantly done. It was a fantastic hour of television. Whether you liked what WrestleMania was or didn't, if you watched that 1 hour presentation dropped to a lot of musical background and amazing editing, I think that you got a little bit of excitement about the product. As a matter of fact, after watching the special on NBC, I decided I wanted to watch the 25th anniversary of WrestleMania on DVD, realized somehow or another I didn't own it, and went out and bought it. So,
but you can be manipulated, though.
No, I just wanted to see more because I realized, I mean, having been there, maybe I wanted to see a little more than others, but I just wanted to watch some parts of it. Couldn't do that, obviously, and went out and purchased it. I think WWE realizes that when people see how slick and how good that special was for NBC this past weekend, I think that they are going to capitalize on that opportunity by showing that match tomorrow night on ECW. I think a lot of people are going to go out and buy it.
I think it's a huge fail.
Or pick it up or scoop it up.
Huge fail. Huge fail because you know what? Not only have they made ECW clearly before this the third brand, the afterthought, the minor leagues that were the dumping ground where you put the junk. Now they won't even show their talent on there. Now they're putting something else on there.
Change the name of the show.
To?
Anything.
Worldwide?
Livewire. They'll give you anything.
WWE Select.
Why not? Actually, that's a perfect name.
Thank you. Frozen pizza?
I told you. Like diarrhea. I've been shooting
or
all week.
Call it WWE the best of the week or something.
Yeah, Select, as in we'll show you what we choose to show you. So that way they're not stuck to a gimmick where they have to have ECW talent. Because as Frank says, ECW.
Why are you guys sitting here burying the ECW show?
They've already done it. They're putting other stuff on besides ECW.
When else would they do it?
Match.
Huh? When else would they do it?
If they wanted to show this match, when else? Exactly. But if they're going to show this match, when else would they do it?
They did. They showed it on April 2nd was the day.
That
was the day they showed it. They showed it on this last Saturday, the 28th. They showed it already. Twice now. You got to show it
available, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to show it again.
There's got to be demand.
No, there's not.
There's got to be
demand. There's just lack of demand for the other product, and that's why that product is on there. There's lack of demand for the ECW brand. That's why they're putting the Shawn Michaels Undertaker on there.
They really want to sell this thing. They show it on Raw or SmackDown.
Maybe
why show it on a show that's only getting a certain?
No,
rating?
here's the reason here's the only valid reason that they would show it on one of their weekly episodic programs. Let's say, for instance, WrestleMania had gone long. And let's say it ended early because they couldn't plan properly. And let's say that everyone who ordered the pay-per-view didn't get to see the finish.
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Wait a minute before you start burying that again. Because I've seen the DVD as well. And I was there live at a particular blast zone or whatever WCW called their places. I watched the entire pay-per-view.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. Because it wasn't, cut off at 10 o'clock everywhere. I've seen the Hogan Warrior match. I've seen the finish between Sting and Goldberg. I've seen those matches. Just because whatever, booty place you were sitting at couldn't afford the rest of it.
A good question. Where was I watching it? Because I certainly didn't drop a dime on WCW pay-per-views.
You must have watched
Halloween Havoc was my favorite of them all, though. I think I read about it on the interweb the day after.
Yeah.
I think it's a smart move by WWE. The answer will come in the ratings once ECW's ratings come out. Are people going to tune in and see The Undertaker?
That's not ECW ratings, though. That's their Tuesday night special ratings.
Are the people going to tune in and see The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels and say, hey, what are they doing on here? I didn't know WWE was on Tuesday nights. This is cool. Maybe they grab some new viewers. Maybe
No, they might grab new viewers.
But what are they going to bring them back for?
Right. Okay. Well,
hey,
you just
hopefully
saw
they'll show that match again.
Hey, are they going to show other stuff like this? Wait a minute. Who are these guys next week?
I don't want to watch this. Who wants to watch Abraham Washington?
You're in a no-win situation. Sure, you might sell an extra 10,000 DVDs, okay, which might be a win, a short-term win, but long-term for ECW, it doesn't work.
Damien. Quit trying to protect your beloved WWE.
I don't think it works. Push the show with your newer talent, rename it, get rid of the ECW brand, and rename it. I think that name is great.
Select. Yeah.
Just call it WWE Select.
Yeah.
Have the best of Monday night.
Like I said,
the best,
diarrhea. I'm shooting them all week.
The best of SmackDown, and then have one or two matches that are just with the new guys.
Let's go to the phone lines. We're live Monday night, August 31st, 2009. Line 1, we've got Glenn from Orlando, Florida. Glenn, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report.
And I'm kicking off the show tonight with this call.
Say again, Glenn. We didn't hear that.
First caller.
You're kicking off the show tonight. Well, hey, Frank will send you a T-shirt.
Hey, why not start off the show with a bang? Now, I heard the show on Thursday, and you guys actually answered one of the questions that I had, which was about Austin and Orton.
Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, that was the title of the episode, I believe.
Yeah. Now, Meathead,
yes, sir.
I would like to talk to you about that.
Okay, is there something we need to talk about? Because I don't remember what I said 10 minutes ago.
No, because you were like, you don't understand, and you can't see Orton as this generation's Austin.
Okay, go ahead.
Damien,
explain for everyone.
Right. But wouldn't you also believe that if – did you guys see the end of Raw?
Yeah, of course we did.
All right. Now, if it was Austin instead of Orton, would it have made sense?
No.
It would have.
No, I don't think so.
No, I mean like the RKO and the Stunner. They're fast. They can come out anywhere.
No, because that's what a heel did.
Well, as far as the move, sure.
Yeah, the move. Yeah.
The moves are the same, but what's not the same is if that was Austin. Austin was a loner. He didn't need any team.
Yeah, he didn't play with
did everything by himself. With Orton here, he's continuing the legacy brand per se. At least in my opinion, now it's going to go until WrestleMania.
And also using the legacy members that are under him to further his agenda.
No, but what they're doing are temperature checks. They're gauging fan reaction.
Frank's always talking about people bending over and having their temperature taken.
No. What they're doing is they're gauging the audience reaction, because there is some like there at the end of that match we're hoping that Cody Rhodes would go after Orton. At that point, then legacy ends. But they can't do it yet. It's just simmering. They want the fan reaction. They want to see, is it working? Are they caring about it? And it's not there yet, but they're getting close for that faction to break apart. I think it's going to be another 6 months until WrestleMania for it to happen, where you'll see DiBiase be on his own, or you'll see Cody Rhodes be on his own, and then legacy will end. It's still a little a ways away, but they're checking it out, and I think it could work.
Who do you think is going to be the first to turn, if and when they do?
Well, I think what will happen is they'll turn on it'll be, and this is my opinion, of course, it'll be Rhodes and DiBiase turning on each other, and then one of them will get a new repackaged somehow. That's 6 to 9 months out. But eventually it's going to end. And I think both those guys have talent in the ring. I don't know about mic skills yet for either of them, which they got to have. And then we'll see if it works. But I think they're about a good 6 months. I see WrestleMania as when that breaks up.
Glenn from Orlando, Florida, thank you very much for calling into the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. WWE Raw tonight overall, Frank, you said you enjoyed it. Meathead, overall, what did you think? I think actually, Frank, you said it was a great show.
Yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it.
You know what? It's because you're old school and Dusty was the guest host.
That could have been. I love the ending. Didn't see that coming. Loved
the only thing I didn't see coming was after they settled on what they were doing, Orton still slapping on an RKO on the big belly welly.
Well, he's conflicted.
Other than that, another just blah show. Just
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. We're live Monday night, August 31st. You can join us on the phone lines, the number 276-ESPN or 1-800-990-ESPN. We're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Rey Mysterio controversy and why he has been suspended from World Wrestling Entertainment. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Dance, Frank. Yeah. Dance. Bang, 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 bang. Dance. What movie was that from? Let's keep this going, Dragon. I could listen to this all night. No. Now, Frank, during the break, you were talking about your lust for Sapphire. You know she's dead.
Is she really?
She wanted to make love to every one of her polka dots.
No, I just couldn't remember her name.
Sweet Sapphire.
She turned on Dusty.
She did.
Well, the $1 Million Man bought her out. Remember the fur coat, the Cadillac?
Yeah. And that was the end.
We ate that crap up.
Absolutely. That was the end of Dusty.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and streaming live at PWRshow.com. We're live Monday night, August 31st, 2009. It's the last day of August.
Unbelievably. It feels like it, too.
Yeah, for the first time, because normally September's in the 90s.
And we've got several people on the lines. Let's go now to Joey from Milwaukee on line 2. You're live on the Pro Wrestling Report.
What's up, guys?
What's up, Joey?
Hey, I had two things I wanted to ask you guys. First one was, did you see how orange Kelly looked tonight?
How Orton's what looked?
Orange. Kelly.
She's
been rolling around in the fake tan.
Yeah, and another thing with Kelly is, I noticed that pretty much every move she does, she screams.
Well, she's a screamer.
Everybody else, see that?
Yeah, but I really don't. To be honest, I used to always say I loved watching the girls wrestle. The WWE girls don't wrestle.
Divas.
They don't wrestle.
I think they wrestled tonight.
No, that's not wrestling.
Well, Mickey and Beth did.
Yeah, that was
I missed the Mickey James match, but I'm talking about like the Battle Royal that he's talking about with Kelly in it. That's not wrestling. All they're doing is gymnastics.
Right. Well, they had to go over the top.
It's terrible. Oh. Can I do my Charles Barkley? Oh, that's terrible.
Then my second thing was I saw that The Miz changed his attire.
Yeah, you did that a few weeks ago.
About a minute ago.
Yeah, but I noticed, I know a lot of guys are still wearing those, like the underwear trunks. I don't know, why are they still doing that?
Because that's old school.
Legacy wears it.
Do they make you uncomfortable?
Oh, no, it's just, right now I'm in marketing, in school.
Okay.
And I watch wrestling. I look at it more of a business now, and I see all these characters and guys that I'm saying attire helps make the character.
Okay, so you're saying Jericho's character is less now because he's in tights?
Well, no, his progression.
Or excuse me,
stopped.
trunks.
Well, all of Legacy's are in the, I guess what you call the underwear trunks.
Tight.
Yeah.
Tight.
And they're popularly.
But it has to be also their physique that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure I like where this conversation's going.
Again, is it making you feel uncomfortable?
Just a wee bit.
I wasn't talking to you.
No, picture Randy Orton
wearing... No, I don't want to picture Randy Orton wearing anything. What's wrong with you, Frank?
Wait, you want to picture Randy Orton wearing... Go ahead.
Randy Orton wearing what, like, Triple H would wear.
Hey, I'm gay.
I don't know. I guess that's a good point.
No, wrestlers, we talked about this last week when we were talking about John Morrison, I believe. A wrestler's gear and part of their presentation is very important. And we speculated as to whether or not John Morrison was marketable given his character that he is now. From a merchandising standpoint, I tend to think so, especially the bedazzles.
Look what they're doing.
Get a half dozen bedazzles?
Look what they're doing to Big Show and Mark Henry. Big Show has changed his whole attire.
Big Show's singlet, though, is fine.
And Mark Henry's
you like his new stuff? There's nothing wrong with
sign.
it. What is he going to wear? Is he going to wear that same thing he wore in WCW that had the rip in his ass?
Oh, when he was Andre the Giant's son?
Yeah. No, but Mark Henry looks terrible. The color red on Mark Henry.
He looked like a strawberry tonight. It was just weird.
And you know what? Chocolate covered strawberry.
And it's burning my eye. It burns my eyes. But Big Show's colors are fine. They're not offensive. Well, I mean, he doesn't make me tingle in the pants either.
You're saying you like it.
No, I don't like it in that way, Frank. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Dave Hero.
Let's go now to line 3. Brian from Milwaukee. You're live at the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hi there. Just wanted to say you guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, for me.
Thank you, Brian. We appreciate you tuning in.
I fell on hard times lately, so I don't have cable. I'm a huge wrestling fan, but I miss Raw every week now.
Okay.
You mentioned something about them slamming Kevin Nash tonight. I'm a huge Kevin Nash fan. I was just wondering if you could maybe indulge on what you were talking about.
Took a jab at him.
Well, it started with
a 2-week jab.
It started with the Life and Death and Rise and Fall of WCW DVD, where they pretty much blamed a lot of the downfall of WCW on 3 people: Vince Russo, Kevin Nash, and
Eric Bischoff.
Eric Bischoff to a degree, but Jeff Jarrett more so.
Chris Jericho's exact words, where it was like the 3 Stooges running a wrestling company. And they showed pictures right after that. Bischoff, Nash, Russo.
It was an opportunity for WWE to take shots at those 3 people. And they did so every chance they got in that DVD. They even made it appear as if Hulk Hogan was doing the same thing.
They, at least with Hulk Hogan's, put a year on it. With Bischoff's, they didn't put any year stamp on it. You look in the background, that Titantron design is from the TNN days.
That is true.
Pay attention to the product.
That is true. But that's what, and then tonight they kept talking about how they, on the DVD, mentioned that Kevin Nash had an integral role, or Big Sexy had an integral role in the death of WCW. It was just a carryover from the Rise and Fall of WCW DVD, which you got to pick up. If you haven't done so, I highly recommend it. You've got to get your own opportunity to take a look at it and make your own decision as to whether you think it's accurate or not. And, of course, it's very accurate from the WWE standpoint, much like it would be similarly accurate if WCW were still around and they made a DVD on the Rise and Fall of WWE. And I'm not sure if you're aware, Brian, but WCW is indeed a defunct wrestling organization that went out of business and was purchased by WWE in 2001.
Trust me, I know.
You had cable then, huh?
Yeah, I just, trust me, I follow it very well. One question about the WCW Rise and Fall. I'm sure you guys have watched the WWE version of the NWO DVD. Do you remember that at all?
Yeah. I remember the Monday Night Wars DVD. Yeah. The Monday Night Wars DVD was also very WWE biased.
Right. The McMahon just chopped it up and just, with the NWO one, they barely showed any WCW footage of the NWO, but a good, half hour, 45 minutes of what they did in the WWE, which would, took all of 2 months or whatever it was. And I was just wondering if the Rise and Fall of WCW was like that, where it was, just a little bit of WCW. They didn't really show the intricate parts, and then just showing.
No, they just talked about politics. To be honest with you, in my opinion, they talked about politics. They talked about who ran this, who was in charge of this, what guys didn't get along with what guys to a smaller degree. But they talked about politics. They showed a couple clips of guys talking about how it was back then. But as far as, really showing in-depth matches, they didn't show squat on that thing.
Very little.
It was, honestly, you know what? It's worth watching, but it's a terrible DVD at the same time because as a storyteller, WWE, big failure, Turtle.
Oh, yeah. I definitely agree. All right, well,
thanks.
I thank you very much for your time, fellas.
Thanks for calling in.
Listening.
We appreciate it right here from our home base in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Remember, the number, guys, is 276-ESPN or 1-800-990-ESPN. We are live Monday night, August 31st on PWRshow.com, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and 540 ESPN. We welcome everybody watching us live on our Justin TV channel as well. We're going to
wave for him.
Go ahead and continue to work through that and get it as best as we can over the course of the next few weeks. You saw Harley during the commercial break, and he's going to work on getting a new camera and getting
about 7 seconds, Frank.
Getting a little more resolution out of that. But the rise and fall of WCW, again, I would agree, didn't have very good matches on it. It was like there was only one match from Nitro, and Nitro pretty much played the biggest role in what WCW was, and they really didn't even pay homage to it, including that big match between Hulk Hogan and I almost said Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, which was...
Well, actually, it was Goldberg versus Hulk Hogan, but I remember the match.
When we come back, Rey Mysterio has been suspended from WWE, and he has spoken out, and WWE is going to react tomorrow night. Also, controversy surrounding Ric Flair, ratings information from last week, this week in history, a fantasy draft pay-per-view update, and so much more.
Not too good for Damien.
We're going to take a timeout, and when we come back, we've got an exclusive interview with TNA President Dixie Carter. If you don't know, you better call somebody. TNA President Dixie Carter joins us coming up right after this timeout here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Damian Nelson here at the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Very special guest with us on the line right now, the president of TNA Wrestling, Dixie Carter. Dixie, welcome to the Pro Wrestling Report. Thank you very much for giving us a little bit of time out of what is, of course, a very busy day, as is any day for you.
Dixie, Damian, thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the excitement going on in TNA Wrestling right now, specifically the big announcement a couple of weeks ago about the re-signing of the deal with Spike TV, which gives Impact another 3 years on air and some other opportunities as well.
Yeah, it's a really huge announcement for us. You know, we've been with Spike for 4 years, and in that period of time, we've more than doubled our viewing audience, continue to grow our ratings. We're up another 30% just from this time last year. And so the show is doing very, very well. We've moved time slots 3 times. We've moved days twice, and you know that loyal wrestling audience, they keep following us. And you know, thank you to all your listeners for tuning in and spreading that word about us, because literally, no one gave us a chance of staying in business, 7 weeks, much less 7.5 years, and we've grown this fan by fan, and we really appreciate all your support.
And you talk about the ratings increase over the last few months. What do you attribute that to? What do you think is the greatest strength of TNA Wrestling and specifically TNA Impact right now?
Well, I think internally we've made some changes on some ways in which we're going about producing the show, writing the show, the referees being more clean matches, finishes. People want to see wrestling, and when you have the best roster of wrestlers in the world, that's what they want to see. And so we're trying to, give them more of that, and the storylines that they do see, which are really key as far as the intrigue and being vested in these talent. I mean, they just need to be as close to real life as possible. So, we've made some very specific changes internally, and it's paying off.
Many of those changes fairly obvious with some big acquisitions, namely Kurt Angle, most recently Bobby Lashley, a lot of recognizable talents. What's the strategy there in bringing in some of those names, whether it be from other companies or people who are free agents?
Well, I think it's twofold. One, you bring in names. When you're a smaller company, it's all about exposure, and it's about getting somebody to give your product a try, because I feel like, if you haven't watched Impact ever before or it's been a while, I feel like if you're a wrestling fan, you would really enjoy it. So to have a big name be able to get you more exposure, that's what it's about. And it's also about passing the torch to the young guys that are TNA homegrown talent, if you would. The AJ Styles of the world, the Daniels, the Hernandezes, the Matt Morgans, Samoa Joe. And those guys, I mean, this is their time right now. Beer Money, super hot tag team, and, you know, that's what it's all about in wrestling, is growing a crop of new talent. And I got to tell you, these guys have been the biggest stars in other organizations in their careers, the Steiners, the Booker T's, the Stings, and Mick Foley. They're there, and they're doing exactly what we need them to do. And that's, A, putting on a great performance every time they step in the ring, and B, they're handing that torch off to the younger talent, and it's their time.
TNA has really made a point to reach out to their fan base, and specifically those there at the live events. I was at Bound for Glory in Chicago last year, most recently at Victory Road down in Orlando, Florida this past summer. That connection with the fans is certainly something very different from what WWE offers. Do you think that has a substantial impact on the fan involvement in the product? Basically, what I'm talking about is the autograph signings, the opportunity that the talent gives for the fans to come out and actually speak to and reach out to the talents.
It's like I said before, we've grown this show and this company one fan at a time, and that's my favorite part of the job. It's getting out there and letting them know how much we appreciate it. I mean, the talent, we all recognize that we are nothing without the viewers. And for those people to spread the word, to tell a friend to tune in, oh, let's go buy a ticket, I mean, we want to get special that they don't get anywhere else. And that's a part of, to me, what makes TNA very special.
What's next for TNA? What's next for Impact? If there's anything that you feel, Dixie Carter, that the company needs to be working on right now, what is that focus? What is next? What is the next plateau, the next level by which you plan to exceed?
Well, we just want to continue to grow those ratings, continue to grow the viewers. Like I said before, we've made a lot of changes internally and are going to continue to do such, and hopefully we'll continue to see those ratings rise. You know, there's a few talent that we're looking at out there, but I think more than anything else, these younger talent, they're really showing over these past few weeks and months that they're ready to get out there and shine and take the ball and run with it. So, you know, if they continue to do what they've been doing, I think you'll see TNA continue to lift. But I think new programming is something, in addition to the current Impact show and the changes that we've talked about, that's going to help us. Again, we need more programming, more exposure. In the United Kingdom, we have 4 or 5 television shows on, and we are beating our competition. We're beating Raw, SmackDown, ECW every single week as of late. And I think it's about having more exposure, and to have more exposure, you need more shows. So that's been a great case study for us to see what we need to do.
And I believe there's a tour coming up overseas again in January of next year. Is that correct?
That's true. We're going to Germany and Austria and Switzerland and Ireland in September, and then we're going to Scotland and Wales and the UK, all throughout the UK in January. So it's, you know, the touring for us internationally, as well as us finally getting out there domestically on a regular basis, is a big step for us.
This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Our guest right now is the president of TNA Wrestling, Dixie Carter. Dixie, tomorrow night on Impact on Spike TV, which airs at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, Bobby Lashley and you will be making an appearance and talking a little bit about Bobby Lashley's role in TNA. Do you want to give us a preview of what we're going to find out tomorrow night on Impact?
Well, you know, I am a very behind-the-scenes kind of person, and I think the show is all about those amazing guys and girls in the ring. But it's also part of my job to get out there and promote the special and different things that we're doing. And one of those things is Bobby Lashley. He is a very unique signing for us. It's not a traditional signing when, you know, their sole focus is wrestling. Bobby left wrestling, you know, kind of at the height of his game. He was the world champion as the WWE, and just really wanted to pursue MMA, and he felt like he had to leave wrestling to be able to do that, to be able to give 100% to MMA. And, you know, we talked a while, and I think I convinced him that, look, you can do both, and you can make history, and let's do this thing together, and you just, you know, if you can continue winning, you know, in those fights, you know, I think we'll show people the power of wrestling and what that means to both genres.
Well, Dixie Carter, tomorrow night, again, that's going to be on TNA Impact. We've gotten a lot of feedback from our fans on our site, pwrshow.com, and on our weekly ESPN radio show and weekly television programs. the TNA Impact product is certainly something that is distinctly different from that of World Wrestling Entertainment, and it's a difference that a lot of fans have picked up on, and as you have said, it is growing week by week. Going into Bound for Glory coming up this year in Los Angeles, California. It's going to be on October 18th, I believe. It's got to be exciting to be a part of such a great company at this point, and a company that is certainly showing significant growth.
It's a great time for TNA. Bound for Glory, our biggest pay-per-view of the year in Los Angeles, our first time to ever have a pay-per-view in that part of the country, and we're really looking forward to it. There's going to be some exciting announcements, some exciting changes within the company between now and October when Bound for Glory happens. So you guys tune in. Stay tuned. TNAWrestling.com as well has all the latest news, and look for some exciting things to come from us in the coming weeks.
Dixie Carter, president of TNA Wrestling, here on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Dixie, thank you for your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow night on TNA Impact on Spike TV at 9 Eastern, 8 Central.
Thank you so much, Damian.
And our thanks,
Dixie,
of course,
we're done.
Our thanks, of course, go out to TNA President Dixie Carter. Good job there, Dragon. Our thanks go out to TNA President Dixie Carter for giving us that opportunity to talk to her. Gentlemen, she had some things to say in that interview that are certainly worth discussion. Firstly, talked about the few talents that TNA has that are from WWE and other organizations specifically, and she pretty much gave the reason that they are entertaining those talents and that they have those talents on the air, namely being we spoke specifically about Bobby Lashley, spoke about Kurt Angle, and she said what had been speculated about for a long time, which is those are people to grab the flippers, grab people's attention because they're familiar faces.
I once had a party where I had my flippers grabbed. I did not appreciate it.
Frank, clearly I directed that question to you for an intelligent answer.
She's making the right business decision of putting those faces on TV at that point to keep people's attention. Hey, it's Mick Foley. Hey, it's Kevin Nash. Hey, it's Sting. That makes business sense. But you need to balance it. You need to bring those young stars, the AJ Styles. I don't even call him young anymore. He's not young. And you have to balance that
Still
out.
up and coming, though.
Right, but you have to balance that out and then grab the attention of, I watch TNA not only because of this, but because they have young talent such as, Enter and who you enjoy. So it's not an easy job that she has.
And she did say that utilizing them to put over the younger talent is how they are moving forward. And we've seen that over the course of the last few weeks, and I think we're going to see it in a big way at Bound for Glory with Sting and AJ.
It's funny you say that because I wish David Octavius Hero was here to apologize to me for telling me that they have not been building new stars because they are building new stars.
But name them.
I brought up Matt Morgan as an example, and he said, what, he had a pin last week. They're still building Matt Morgan. He gets video packages during the show. They're building Matt Morgan.
We'll talk more about that interview with TNA President Dixie Carter and more still to come, including Rey Mysterio's suspension from WWE, controversy surrounding Ric Flair, a fantasy draft update, and more. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. The look on Dragon's face when he realizes he played the wrong thing.
What is this? Dragon, we sing the song to you before you even go to the page. Type in Jeff Jarrett, TNA, My World.
This is
all
the
of those
Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
He's got it up.
It just says My World.
Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead in the Cause. Here along with you, live here tonight, August 31st, 2009.
Right. Dragon, you're all right.
Just before we took that time out, we were talking about TNA President Dixie Carter, who was on this very program in an interview we conducted with her last week, which you can also see at our website, pwrshow.com, if you missed any of that. And you can also scoop it up on iTunes.
Like a scoop of ice cream.
Pro Wrestling Report on ESPN, one of the top pro wrestling podcasts on iTunes. Somewhere hovering between number 1 and number 3, depending on which day you check. And we appreciate that. Be sure to subscribe.
All
of our episodes are available. All of our episodes are available on iTunes, and you can go ahead and figure out how to get that subscription on PWRshow.com. Dixie Carter talking about the older talent, talking about some of the younger talent, talking about TNA Impact, talking about the UK. Well, what we've learned over the last couple of hours since that interview is Jeff Jarrett making his return to TNA Wrestling, at least in a public eye. However, he will be doing so in Australia. He's going to be doing some marketing for an upcoming tour that TNA is doing in Australia.
That's a nice.
I think that this Jarrett thing may be blowing over, guys.
Yeah, it's got to, because obviously, they need to get all their big name guys on there.
Yep, absolutely. If you don't, he's got. Does everyone know, as far as the wrestling community, know exactly word for word the whole
remember, this
details
has been going on over a year. Over a year.
Eventually got to get him back on the air because he is a draw.
I think by the time he's back on TV, it will have been 2 months.
But if you've watched the WCW Rise and Fall, and stop saying the life and death, because that's nowhere in the title.
I said Rise and Fall.
You always say the life and death, the Rise and Fall.
And then I follow it up with Rise and Fall. I create my own title. I give it a little bit of a hook.
Kind of like I do with the videos now. Have you seen that? Damien and Meathead share a fridge.
I believe you were going to make some type of point that you thought was relevant.
Point once again. They said in the WCW Rise and Fall DVD, Jeff Jarrett didn't draw a dime. Jeff Jarrett.
Well, you were the one watching the company. He had the stroke, laid down for Hogan.
He laid down for Hogan. Hogan stood on him.
Maybe, there's a lot of hatred in WWE for Jeff Jarrett, because remember, what did Vince do when he purchased WCW?
JEFF, JA gone.
Yep.
Well, what did Jeff do to Vince? The night before his contract was up, right before pay-per-view when he was supposed to be an IC
it depends
title.
on who you ask.
He held the company up.
Depends on who you ask. The company failed by booking him on a show for which they did not have him contracted for. That's where they failed. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
For over 10 years, the world's #1 source for professional wrestling news and information. And once again, here's your hosts, Damian Nelson, Frank Cosentino, and the man they call Meathead. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN, ESPNMilwaukee.com, and PWRshow.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, and the Cos here live with you Monday night, August.
What's that, October?
I did.
Do you know where we're at?
I'm horrible with moments.
Dude, have you watched Primetime Frank? I know because you're not there. But have you?
Sorry.
Have you watched Primetime? Because this guy will go, we're live, August. What day is it?
If you had to walk 4 feet in my shoes, you'd understand.
And I'd have bunions because you got some nasty shoes, dude. Those bowling shoes, are you still wearing them?
I'm wearing Feelers.
Fila, I thought they went out of business. Are you getting those at the out of business warehouse?
Shut up.
I feel you.
Let's go to the phone lines of which you can be a part. The number 276-ESPN or 1-800-990-ESPN. Let's go first to John from St. Cloud, Minnesota. John, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, John. Welcome to the program. Is it your first time?
That'd be first-time caller, long-time listener.
Okay. Well, you're a big fan of Frank Cosentino, so welcome Frank to the show.
Good to see you again, man.
Frank, wave at the camera for him.
All right, what you got, man?
Well, first off, I'm getting excited because TNA is coming to St. Cloud, so this will be my first time going to any major professional wrestling live event.
Okay.
So excited for that. But one thing that I've kind of been wondering, at least about tonight's Raw and in general, is they're not doing such a great job of pushing these pay-per-views with this whole guest host situation, and I was thinking that now more than ever is when they need to do that push since they're trying to sell us on the idea of a new concept pay-per-view of Breaking Point. So I was just wondering if you agreed with me or if you thought that they are doing a good job at that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. If you have the guest host that kind of teased, well, it could be Cody Rhodes winning it tonight, but would it really make sense to have Cody Rhodes versus John Cena?
What's kind of funny, though, too, is every one of these guest hosts that they have seems to add a match to the pay-per-view to give the guest host, all the power in the world according to the show and the story.
Right.
They always add a match. So you would think that they would talk about how, I'm going to do this at the pay-per-view and I'm going to do that and blah, blah, blah. And they don't really put any steam behind it.
Yeah.
John, do you have anything else for us?
And also, I mean, that main event, though, at least they did a great job of sort of swerving us. At least I didn't see it coming a mile away like how most WWE things are done, or maybe I'm just that gullible.
No, did you know that gullible is not listed in the dictionary?
Ah.
It's not. Frank, that's the definition of gullible. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
They listed it after the first time that joke was told in 1972.
Still
John from St. Cloud, Minnesota, thank you very much for calling into the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Let's continue on the phone lines. Let's go out to Washington, D.C., where we've got Ron. Ron, you're live.
Hey, how you doing, fellas?
Hey, Ron, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, doing fine. I just want to first off saying I really love you guys. You guys are great. I first caught you guys on YouTube and everything, and now on the radio show, I'm very excited to be talking to you guys, on the phone and everything like that.
Well, thank you for joining us, Ron, and we'll take this opportunity to say that last week's episode of PWR Primetime was one of the most watched, actually the most watched single primetime edition this year.
Really? I was one of the people that was watching it too. So I want to get to the Raw thing tonight. The Raw was great. It was one of the best Raws I've seen thus far going on this year with the match. Especially, I'm surprised nobody didn't talk about the Fatal 4-Way match with Kofi Kingston, The Miz, and Carlito and Jack Swagger. Awesome.
Jack Swagger.
Awesome, great match, high-flying Kofi Kingston, who's one of my favorite wrestlers right now, him and AJ Styles. Just incredible athleticism. The guy did a sick, just missed the third rope, by an inch, but made it clean and took all three guys out. That was an awesome match. I think that was the match of the night for me.
And unfortunately for me, I was in travel and in the production studio. I did not get to see
I enjoyed that match. I enjoyed Raw as a whole tonight. I thought it was a great Raw tonight.
Kofi Kingston's an incredibly impressive performer. And I would say he's one of the most athletically gifted performers in WWE right now. And as I noted during this evening's edition of Raw to Frank, he's been champion for about a minute now.
Yeah.
So they're given a chance, and Cole oversold him tonight on commentary.
It's not that they're giving Kofi Kingston a chance. It's that's where the belt is sitting right now. Because if they were giving Kofi Kingston a chance, he'd be on every episode of Raw. He'd be on episodes of Superstars. He'd be working and solidifying that belt. He's not on every episode.
There hasn't been many Kofi missed weeks.
It's still hit and miss.
But he's a fan favorite, too. So it works.
I like Kofi. Don't get me wrong. I like him. I'm just saying, if they're really, keeping the belt on him to make the belt worth something and to build him, he'd be on every week defending it, sometimes 2 times a week.
I'm glad, and me personally, I'm glad they're doing that for Kofi. I just hope they don't bury him like they did with, Shelton Benjamin. Like they gave him this big push. He beat Triple H 3 weeks in a row one time. Then he became an Intercontinental Champion. He fought. He took on Chris Jericho. What was that? Taboo Tuesday. Then he became the Intercontinental Champion the first time. And now look at him. He's not. He's still.
But Shelton did that to Shelton.
Well, yeah, you're right. I do blame some of that on Shelton, but I just hope, because WWE is known for burying guys like, a Kofi Kingston or like a Shelton Benjamin or like of course, Brian Kendrick, who was just recently released from the WWE.
But once again, Brian did that to Brian too.
Well, Brian did that to Brian too. I take that. I could say that too, but hey, like I said, WWE can't, like Vince. They were saying Vince recently was talking about they wasn't creating stars or anything like that. So I think right now, Rey Mysterio is going to be out for for 30 days now. I think they should, and Jeff is gone now, off doing his thing. I think guys like John Morrison or guys like Swagger or guys like guys, the young, good talent that I think that has a great potential to be pushed needs to be put in those positions to be relevant in the heavyweight division. In my view, that's how I see it.
Good point, Ron. Thank you for calling in out from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. Meathead, we're live at PWRshow.com as well right now. What's going on in the chatmosphere?
You look at me like I'm going to argue, and I told you on, I believe it was Primetime or Q&A Express that I gave up. It was boring to me, and it's just boring. They were talking a lot about Swagger, and actually there was a commentary about apparently Damien is the ultimate plug master.
he should.
That's what it's all about.
Also, Damien, there was Mr. 469 wants to know what the number to call in is.
Well, Frank, why don't you give the numbers?
It's 276 ESPN 800-990 ESPN.
What about if you're calling from like the Nile?
800-990 ESPN.
Don't you have to enter in country codes?
1-800-990 ESPN.
As that caller alluded to earlier, and as we talked about on PWRshow.com late last week, Rey Mysterio suspended from WWE for 30 days for a wellness policy violation. Here's what we know. We know that the suspension occurred last Wednesday. At least Rey was notified of that suspension last Wednesday, which takes effect this Wednesday for a total of 30 days. We also know that Rey Mysterio has gone on a radio or did an interview in Mexico, a media interview where he pretty much said that WWE did not give him the chance that was owed to him as outlined in the wellness policy for him to prove that the substance found in his system was prescribed. Now, Rey Mysterio, the Intercontinental Champion, Dolph Ziggler, the man looking for it. SmackDown taping tomorrow night. Gentlemen, what's going to happen?
First question is, was the interview in English?
No.
Okay, so somebody had to translate it, so it wasn't verbatim. I'm just trying. I'm trying really hard. It's not going to work. I mean, I'm trying to find a way to say that he didn't say what we thought he said. And you know what, Ray? If it's true, go to the company. And if they say that, you know what, you still have to be suspended, maybe they're, are they going to pay you? Do they get paid? I guess that's one of my questions with the wellness policy.
They're under contract.
That doesn't mean anything, though. It could say that you could be suspended with pay, suspended without pay.
Well, the wellness policy is available on WWE's corporate website. You can take a look at it when you get a chance. I believe some violations do still get paid, or you still get paid, and some you just get fined for, and you don't get suspended. I think marijuana use is one of those that is a finable offense only. But a lot of people, Rey Mysterio's in a unique spot. Remember, he was considering not staying with WWE. Now he's been suspended for a wellness policy violation, and by his account, not done so within the guidelines of their own policy. And this could be a dicey situation. Rey may not want to be with the company, and the company is sticking it to Rey.
Yeah, and why would they be sticking it to him, too, if Rey is one of their top? And they just lost another one of their top.
It's the arrogance. It's the WWE
arrogance. They just lost another one of their top merchandising workers. I don't mean to use a pimp hoe analogy, but they just lost one of their top girls in Jeff Hardy. And now they want to lose Rey Mysterio.
Top guys.
I said girls. One of their top girls. I mean, don't make me get my powder out. My pimp hand is strong.
Listen, you
my
last
pimp hand
week
is
said
strong.
on PWR Primetime and said how much you were a fan of Jeff Hardy.
I am a fan of Jeff Hardy.
Why are you sitting there defaming his name then?
All of them are girls because Vince is the pimp. They're the girls. I understand.
There are boy prostitutes.
We know. You know, too.
Red Garvin.
We know you know.
Eddie Murphy told me.
We know you know. But my point being is that they just lost one of their top merchandising, hoes, if you will. And now they're about to lose the one that sells to the kids the most?
Well, it's all part of the timing is kind of...
The timing is horrible.
Right. So in this case, if I was Rey, where are you going to make the most money? Probably with WWE. So take your suspension and, here's what happened. Yeah, I did take something. I apologize. It was wrong.
You shouldn't have to apologize if you had a prescription for it.
Here's what Rey said in that interview.
I apologize for
Damien's going to detail the interview for us.
The report from the interview basically says that he was using a drug for his arm and his knee, and he confirmed that he did have a prescription for the drug. Said he was on the road after being on vacation, didn't know about the test failure until Wednesday. He had tested earlier. And he was only given 24 hours to provide proof. And that deadline by WWE's definition of the wellness policy itself is 74 hours, I believe.
Why would it be 74 hours? You get 3 days and 2 extra hours?
Well, I mean, you can't just... Can you call your doctor right now at this moment and get a prescription, a copy of a prescription given to you?
What's the difference between 72 and 74 hours? I'm pretty sure it was 72.
I hate you.
I'm going to give you 73 and a half hours, Frank, to go ahead. Why 73 and a half? Because I got an hour and a half of watching Raw.
Here's what's weird. Rey Mysterio, obviously one of WWE's top stars. Why would they cut the deadline short? And it's a doctor, by the way, who oversees this program and basically makes the decisions from what we can discern from the information that's out there. But wouldn't WWE intervene? And remember, when we talked to Ken Anderson on this very program, we asked him if the drug policy, the wellness policy, applied to all the talents. He didn't necessarily answer that one and let us fill in some of the blanks. But this is one case where I think it shows that maybe they do apply it to all the talents.
Or
because
maybe
to lose a Rey Mysterio after SummerSlam, after he made that big return, after being gone for a while, it's a big blow.
Well, and also remember, other wrestlers see that, hey, if they're really doing this to Rey Mysterio, I could be the next guy. So
Rey Mysterio, all he is a merchandise hoe. Really, that's all he is.
He's a good talent. He can wrestle in the ring.
But as far as a company guy, he's a merchandise hoe. It's true.
Well,
he can bring it.
If you want to call it that, that's what it is.
But
they choose that. They choose to go into the profession.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just, we need you to sell. They can quit at any time. I give up. They're done.
But that's exactly where they're coming from. The company sees that Rey is getting ready to not want to wrestle, just like Jeff is stepping aside, just like some of the other guys have stepped away from the ring. You know what? They're sticking it to him first, maybe they're trying to defame his name before he comes back.
Who knows? We'll never know that. But
don't make me get my pimp hand out.
But to answer your question about 5 minutes ago on what happens the next 30 days, I would just, I say you put the belt up for grabs. Have a 3-way, 4-way, get 4 wrestlers in there and make it happen.
They've done this so many times before. When a wellness policy violation has occurred, they've dropped the strap off of people very quickly on a TV taping so that they can serve their suspension. And we don't know what's going to – I mean,
Jeff
sort of loses. You got Ziggler who – it's almost working out perfectly for WWE because you got Ziggler who qualified for number 1 contendership for the IC strap on Superstars last week, now going into the SmackDown tapings this week. He could legitimately go in there and take it off of Rey, and really it wouldn't be that odd.
No, it wouldn't be that odd at all.
But is it too quick for Dolph to have a strap?
No.
On.
His waist.
Good save. By the way to pull it back out. I did read this comment on one of our YouTube pages, and I found this to be very interesting. I believe it was on the Rey Mysterio suspended video. What about giving it to John Morrison and letting him go up against Dolph Ziggler? Have John Morrison accidentally beat Rey Mysterio one night.
I'd be fine with that. I think Ziggler's ready. I think he's
ready.
But it
gives, and again, I forget the user's name, but it gives Morrison something to do.
Yeah.
Because SmackDown right now is hurting in a bad way.
Well, they get their top star back in The Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
The Undertaker's on ECW.
But for SmackDown,
and so is Shawn
come
Michaels.
on now. He returns this Friday on SmackDown, I
and
believe.
So is Shawn Michaels, because ECW doesn't have any ECW guys on. It's hard to argue that one, isn't it? As asinine as I can be, it's hard to argue some of them points.
I'm not, but as far as SmackDown,
I know.
they do have The Undertaker back, and that's key. And I'd say give it to Ziggler. Why not? I think he's got a ton of potential.
Is it too quick? I think so. I think this build has been good. I think his hunt has been good. And I would agree. Morrison, somebody else can take the strap, be transitional for a while, go into breaking point perhaps, make Ziggler that much more strong. When Rey comes back, Rey's chasing after his title that he never lost to Ziggler, but Ziggler has it. I think the long-term storyline makes a lot more sense.
There's some play in there.
For somebody else to take it and run with the strap. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. We'll find out. Welcome back to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call Meathead, here with you live August 31st, 2009. We're live on 540 ESPN, PWRshow.com, and ESPNMilwaukee.com. We've got some callers, so let's go to them. And as the line's clear, you can join us on the phone lines. The number 276-ESPN or 1-800-990-ESPN. Again, 276-ESPN or 1-800-990-ESPN. Let's go to Chad from Greenfield on line 3. You're live at the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, guys, good show. It's always good to hear a wrestling show, and you guys always do a good job.
Are you calling into the right show, Chad?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
I think I am.
Go ahead, Chad.
I heard your interview with Dixie Carter at the end of it, and I just don't understand when you talk about all this growth that TNA is doing. I don't think they've done any growth ever since the beginning of time. I mean, I don't see it. Their ratings have always been basically a 1.1 no matter who they bring in. They wrestle in small arenas. They can't draw 1,000 people. Independent shows, some independent shows draw bigger shows than they do. Their pay-per-views don't sell. I mean, I don't see any growth by them. I just think they're a non-factor, and they never will be a factor. But where's the growth that you speak of?
Well, Chad, you make all very valid points, except for there is growth. However, it certainly isn't an explosive growth, meaning they've seen their business grow over the last several years. They've been on Spike TV for the last 4 years. They've started doing house shows, which are very, very beneficial for the company.
Plus, there's been growth, Damian, from Saturdays to Mondays as well. There's been growth from the Fox Sports Network on Friday afternoons, growth to the Saturday evenings, the late evenings, to the Thursday night shows, growth from the 1-hour show to the 2-hour shows. And I'm not talking about growth of them growing their own product and not pulling in fans. They have been growing it. Again, it's slow. I mean, we're talking a 7-year company.
But they've done nothing. They haven't done anything. I mean, they take wrestlers, one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, probably one of the greatest ever, Kurt Angle, and they've literally made him irrelevant. I mean, he's an irrelevant figure in wrestling. I mean, his interview with Howard Stern, he says people go up to him airport all the time and say, when are you going to wrestle again? I mean,
that's funny because Nash has said that too.
The guy's, he's an irrelevant figure. It's sad. I mean, it's just, if they can't do any kind of growth with Kurt Angle, I mean, then they thought they could bring in a Booker T. They thought they could bring in a Scott Steiner. And where's it got them? It's got them nowhere. They're wrestling in towns.
They definitely weren't going to try to grow with Scott Steiner. Scott asked for a job, and Scott got a job.
I understand that, but look at Kurt Angle, look at Booker T, Christian. I mean, all these guys, have they made any impact? Use the word impact. Have they made any impact for the company? No. Bobby Lashley's not going to do the same unless he becomes a Brock Lesnar-like figure in MMA. But they've hit their ceiling. They've done what they've done, and it's good that workers have a place to work if they can't go to WWE. But I just think they're irrelevant. I mean, their video game, you can get it for $20 a month after it went on sale. It's just an irrelevant company, unfortunately.
Well, Chad, when's the last time you watched TNA product?
I had DVR it, and I'll watch it a little bit here and there. And to be honest with you, it makes me depressed because I see some of my favorites of all time, like a Kurt Angle and a Mick Foley, and they've made them irrelevant. Like I've said, Kurt Angle is kind of an embarrassment now, and it's sad to see because he was one of the greatest ever, and he's an irrelevant figure, and they made wrong choices to go there, and I just think the whole company's irrelevant. They're 1.1, and that's all they'll ever be.
Well, that's obviously your opinion, and you are entitled to it. TNA's got a lot of growing to do in order to be that viable competitor for WWE. However, when they started on Spike TV, I believe it was back in 2005 or 2006, they were at about a 0.8, 0.9 rating. Mm-hmm. 2007 average rating for Impact was a 1.04, 2008 1.06. So far in 2009, they're at a 1.2. So they've seen growth. I'm sure that growth not as rapid as they want to see it or should see it, and not as rapid as the growth that WCW had in 1995 when they caught WWE off guard with Nitro. Now, Dixie has said in some other interviews as well 2 very key things. They are looking at doing Monday nights. They want Monday nights against Raw. They want the Monday Night Wars again. They are the only ones that want it, though, because Spike TV is not ready to make that move. They also, Dixie said, they are looking at scaling back or modifying their pay-per-view schedule. As Chad, the caller, just said about TNA and their pay-per-view buys, they are looking at modifying the schedule. Whether that means doing fewer, doing more, don't know. But Dixie did state in a recent interview that she felt that their pay-per-view product needed work. Not what they're delivering, but as far as the schedule goes. And they are currently tied into some commitments that don't allow them to change it at that point. So, Meathead, to those 2 points, the TNA pay-per-view situation and head-to-head with Raw on Mondays, your thoughts on either of those things being a viable option for the company?
I think the pay-per-view thing is something to look at. Unfortunately, as you just said again, you'll have to excuse me, my cough
button. There's a cough button.
I was about to say the cough button's too far away from me. I'm in a new seat, all right? As much as I don't like looking at you, I like to interact with you and see your reactions to when I pwn you consistently. I like to see your face. Now I can't see your face, good and bad. Anyway, the pay-per-view situation, they've got some commitments that they're unable to get out of to take care of the pay-per-views. I'd like to see them get down to 8, maybe 10, because honestly, they are doing bad business when it comes to pay-per-view. Dixie has made it clear in just our interview or excuse me, not just our interview, but in other interviews, that she, the company's more worried about TV ratings. TV ratings is what drives business. They're not even worried about merchandise yet, which could drive their business as well, which could really make them a profitable company. That's why they put Don West up there to work on merchandise. As far as the Monday nights go, I don't think it'll hurt the company. I think that you will still have, let's do a hypothetical, Damien. Would they go 7 to 9 Central against Raw's 8 to 10 Central? Like Nitro did?
Theoretically.
To get you watching that first hour, so it's, granted.
That'd be the smartest way to do it.
Damien, granted, Ring of Honor is on Monday nights at 7 o'clock Central.
Yeah, 12 households.
Yeah, exactly. Who carries HDNet?
I don't even get it.
I don't even get it either. And I work for one of the distributors, if you will, and I don't get it. That's why Ring of Honor isn't going to make it, at least as far as Monday Night War, blah, blah, TV War. So you go 7 to 9. Maybe do like what Nitro did. Maybe borrow the philosophy that they had where they, on occasion, threw in an extra half hour, an hour, ran late.
Here's the concept. Go at, talking Central Time, go at 7 and 10. Sandwich it.
Oh, you mean like Nitro did?
2 shows. No. Do the hour before Raw, and then go the hour after.
Nah, no flow. No program flow.
It can be done.
No,
it's
Nitro,
2 separate programs.
No.
Like Raw is 2 separate
Remember,
programs.
Nitro had a replay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
Nitro had a replay. I loved watching the replay because then I'd, DVR the Raw, then DVR the Nitro, and then when I felt like getting to it in the morning, I'd watch both programs uninterrupted. So if that's what they're going to do, then, I don't think they're hurt by doing it right now. I don't think they're going to lose that 1.1 they got. You can go to what the caller said. They're not going to do anything. I mean, he was pessimistic. Understanding he has his feelings, his points, his opinions, and, what he watches. But as far as hurting business, it's not going to hurt them in business. Matter of fact, I guarantee you that if they went head-to-head, they may not win, but that 1.1 will go up.
And that's the point. Many more fans would be talking about TNA wrestling if TNA went head-to-head with Raw on Monday night.
Relevancy, which our caller talked about, would become viable again.
But it's not just going up against Raw all of a sudden on a Monday night. Because let's not forget TNA's failure a couple of years ago, where they had 2 hours on Monday night when Raw was preempted, and they aired clips and highlights. They've got to make noise about it. They've got to advertise, which they probably will not be able to do during Raw on a national level.
Right.
But they can conquer the top markets in the country and say, hey, we're on. Come give us a try. They can do that. They would need to do that in order to make it successful. They can't just go on with a show and expect people to be there.
You need to start at grassroots. You need to, if you're going to do it from the Impact Zone, again, Frank and I, we've talked about this, and you've been involved as well. Impact Zone every week for a live, weekly TV show, I don't know. It doesn't have granted, what else are they going to do? They don't have the money, and as a company, I don't think they'll succeed if they try to take the show out on the road. Weekly, like WCW and WWE did. I don't think it'll work. So they're going to have to go from the Impact Zone. I mean, Mall of America, you can try to see if they can do a show there. That was a play. I don't know if you caught that.
Let's go to line 1, Long Island, New York. Adam, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Doing fine.
Awesome.
I know it is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah, this is awesome. Anyway, I was going to say I'm super pumped for Bob Barker next week on Monday night.
The price is wrong.
I want there to be a have your pet spayed or neutered dog collar match.
I hope he's got the stick mic. That's all I'm looking forward to.
Man, and they got to have the original announcer who's no longer with us, but they got to have an announcer. And this for every wrestler, Lillian Garcia's got to say, "Come on down."
That'd be nice. I would love to see Rod. You're talking on Rod Roddy.
Yeah, I think
Frank Caliendo did an amazing Rod Roddy. Can we get Caliendo down there to do Rod Roddy?
I came on down once. In Las Vegas,
On
they have
who?
The Price is Right live. It was actually pretty fun. I think they picked a good week for Bob Barker. It's Labor Day. The viewership will be slightly down. It's a holiday. People will be out getting their last barbecue on. So if
who gets their barbecues on? Is that where they cut the
I heard
table
a new
on
term.
to?
I was at the Walmart Tire Center the other day,
Okay.
which was an amazing experience.
Why?
From what I saw. And somebody said, hey, before you dip out. I hadn't heard that before.
Before you dip out?
That's like leave. Like bounce.
Oh, I've
Raise
bounced.
on up out.
I've bounced. I've cut people's cable on, too.
Adam, sorry to interject there, but your point is valid.
Yeah. I thought Raw, it had its good points tonight. I thought Cena's promo was better than usual. He wasn't as goofy and didn't come off as a tool as he has in the past few weeks, all the bad comedy. And the opening segment was pretty good. And I thought Cody Rhodes' acting at the end when he was just staring at Orton, that came off pretty well.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I thought Raw was pretty good, and I wish you guys a good night. And
thank you.
I'll be listening to the rest of the show. Thanks
care. For calling in, Adam. Let's go to Rochester, same state, different town. Rochester. Jamie, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN.
How you doing, guys?
Hey, what's up, Jamie?
You know, I've just got two things I have to get off my chest about this breaking point with Taker and CM Punk. Much as it will help CM Punk, but I don't think they should have just done it like that, like in a submission match. Do you honestly think Taker's going to tap out on his pay-per-view match return?
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Because I don't recall the last time Taker tapped out.
Yeah,
I don't believe he ever has.
Especially to Punk. That's why I think they should just kept Taker away from Punk and have Punk feud with Morrison for a couple of pay-per-views, get that out the way, and then have Taker go after Punk.
We talked about this on a recent television episode. CM Punk's going to get the rub from this Taker program.
Yeah.
Much like so many others have in the past, it is beneficial to WWE to have a CM Punk Undertaker program. It's beneficial to WWE to have Undertaker work with almost anybody because they will immediately be elevated on the card.
Yeah, but I also love to see Taker and Jericho because I really think they never went one-on-one how long they were.
I don't think there's been a program. There may have been a match, but I don't think there's ever been a program, and I'm interested on it.
It needs to be a program on Jericho and Taker.
I think there's money there, too.
Yeah, and then about this Randy Orton thing, and I was just thinking, you keep Randy Orton as the WWE champion until WrestleMania, so when he actually loses it, it will mean something.
Yeah. But then what's the build on the other side? Who's it going to be?
Well, you got a lot of stars to come from.
I mean, you know, because there's got to be a lot of steam building behind the face as well. Because if Randy Orton's the heel, holding it until you get to WrestleMania, who's the face on the other side that's getting the steam getting closer?
Well, that's hard to think on Raw. But
I know you got to think money wise.
But if it was on SmackDown,
it doesn't. Who said it had to be Raw? You got MITB. You've got all that other stuff right there.
So who is going to be in the main event of WrestleMania? I hope it's not the same.
Damien's going to ref the match. That's for sure. It's going to be Chavo versus Hornswoggle.
So I hope he's not just Cena and Triple H.
Part 49.
Triple H has dominated WrestleMania for the last, I don't know,
at least
how many
10 years. I'd say 10 years.
And Cena has main event of WrestleMania for the last 5 years. It's time to give them guys a break.
I'm not sure it is. WrestleMania still gets about 1 million buys a year, so people are still buying it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're buying it because of the 2007 Pro Wrestling Report Wrestler of the Year as voted on by you, the people, John Cena.
Well, at breaking point, I believe it can't be John Cena's night because I don't see him saying, I quit.
Good point. Jamie from Rochester, thank you very much for calling into the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN. Let's continue on the phone lines. Line 3, Bowman from Boston. You're live on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
What's poppin', Bowman?
See, we're doing it live tonight.
We're doing it live. Hey, by the way, Damien, I want to throw to the chat. Osphere and Bowman, obviously, you're living live in there, too. Can we discuss how Damien apparently has lost his black card months ago?
Oh, he lost it months ago when he decided he was a Backstreet Boys fan, and he also announced that he passed out Aldo Montoya fan club cards.
Thank you. Go ahead, Bowman. What you got tonight?
Just a few quick things there. I think the guys earlier mistaken in talking about how Undertaker is CM Punk and how Undertaker's not going to tap out or anything like that. It really doesn't matter because all they're going to do in that match, it's a submission match, but they never said it was no disqualification. I guarantee you there's going to be some way he's going to worm his way out of it to win to garner some more heel heat.
Yeah.
They've got that match figured out, I think.
Well, then let's hope. Let's all, put a tooth under our pillow and let's pray that it becomes, no DQ.
Yeah, I would doubt it would become no DQ. As far as the Intercontinental title, I would definitely think that I think it should be dropped to a Morrison, to where I think he's at a level where now he could work with a Dolph Ziggler and have a small program long enough for it to to help to pull Dolph Ziggler, because right now with CM Punk and Undertaker going, that's going to go for at least 3 pay-per-views. John Morrison has absolutely nothing to do.
Yeah, it's funny that I mentioned that in the Chatosphere, and then I believe Bookworm 316 said, hey, that was my idea. I don't know who that guy is, Bowman.
I don't know, but he's a smart guy, apparently.
But, yeah, I've seen it before, and apparently it was your idea. And, it's a great idea, because Morrison and Ziggler right now, I think, are just eye to eye. I think they're right at the exact same level.
Yeah, I think that would definitely work well. And as far
you got to get Rob Terry in that mix, though.
Yeah, it is 2010?
2010, yeah.
I'm sitting right here. Those are lies. Those are lies. Somebody point me to 2 things that I've said. The first of which is when I said I had any problem with The Undertaker.
You do.
The second is when I said anything about Rob Terry favorable. That's all I'm saying. Show me the tape. Show me the tape. If I said it, show me the tape.
Oh, bitch.
Thanks, Grandpa.
It's live today.
Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking about, somebody's mentioning Undertaker versus Chris Jericho. Save that for WrestleMania.
Yeah.
That gives now Undertaker another match to have. Save
and
that.
Chris
for
would do it.
And Chris, yeah.
Well, looking at Taker HBK, there was a lot of speculation, including from this team going into that would be the Undertaker's last match. Clearly, it won't be, and it should have been, I think. But who
Taker Orton should have been his.
WrestleMania 21 was supposed to be Taker's last match. And if you ask some circles, it was WrestleMania 17 supposed to be his last match at WrestleMania. There's no such thing as the last match in wrestling. That's Terry Funk.
But for The Undertaker, there's going to be a last match. He's not going to lose it, but there's going to be a last match. But again, if he was to lose it to anybody, Randy Orton was the guy he should have lost it to.
Yeah. No, actually, I think Edge.
What, last year? In
Orlando? MCO?
Yeah. I think if he would have lost anybody, it would have been Edge. When Edge kicked out of the tombstone after we saw Run Child run, I think that would have...
oh, man. Jamie, do you remember watching that guy run down the thing?
And I had one more thing to cover on TNA.
Okay. Rob Terry?
Yeah, besides Rob Terry. How did Vince miss that guy? He just screams WWE.
I know. Anyway, TNA.
But I think they definitely doing well, and I think they have some improvements to make. I think the main things that they need to do is their production more than anything else, and moving to a different time slot. I think the Impact Zone needs to change. I've never liked the whole good guy and bad guy ring entrances.
Yeah.
I think it should
you mean the tunnels? Yeah.
The tunnel. I think there should be one front entrance. They all come out of that same entrance. I think they need to go on the road on their pay-per-view, so when they go on the road, they have to build a new set, and when they build a new set, they change the look.
We talked about that.
But I'm sure they've looked at the business results, the numbers specifically. Maybe they aren't gaining anything from it. Maybe people keep saying they need to do this, need to do that, but maybe it wasn't as beneficial to the company as they thought it would be, even because they launched an ambitious goal at the beginning of this year saying that they would host, I believe, 10 of 12 pay-per-views on the road. They have backtracked from that, and they had quite a few of them at the beginning of the year on the road, and now, as we know, for the rest of the year, aside from Bound for Glory, they're going to be in Orlando's Impact Zone. I agree with you, though. It's the production that does it. If SummerSlam would have been done in the ECW arena, it would not have been as good a show. WWE owns sports entertainment production. There is nobody who can touch them. There's nobody who I don't think will ever touch them. Even when WCW was out there, they were not as good as WWE because they were using Turner Sports people to shoot the stuff. WWE has that area cornered, and TNA has a couple of old WWE production guys. They got one of the guys that used to do all the pre-packages for the pay-per-views and for the storylines, and they've also got a graphics guy.
But their pre-packages stuff and their graphics are fine. It's the product, presentation.
I don't think so. You can shine a turd.
No, you can't.
I do it every week.
No, I've watched you do this program.
Well, I wanted to basically, when you're talking about sort of packaging and WWE and kind of like how all that, how people get packaged, I wanted to transition over to somebody who I think they should be pushing to that top level, who is AJ Styles. And that's because if you notice, out of all the rest of them, he's the only one with a WWE-esque entrance.
Damien has actually mentioned that before.
It's a W, and look at the crowd reaction that happens like right after that fact. Like I talked to a lot of my friends that some of that are not that are casual wrestling fans or kind of watch wrestling, but and it's funny, I'll show them TNA and one name they'll know is AJ Styles.
Yeah, because the way he's presented. I mean, he's got the great music. Again, what a wasted opportunity. We've talked about it on this program. What a wasted opportunity when they had the two guys that did the rap for AJ Styles just show up randomly, unannounced, on Impact during a commercial.
But
it should have been on a pay-per-view.
It wasn't all ought for naught, though, because that was when they did tweak his entrance, and they've used that ever since.
Yeah, I just feel like I have to disagree when they say that what you guys did say that the money match is Bobby Lashley versus Kurt Angle. I really, really hope that they switch this around and it ends up being Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles and really just get AJ Styles over.
It's unfortunate because it's going to be Sting AJ Styles.
Yeah,
which is a better situation.
It could work. It could work either way for them, but either way for AJ Styles. But I feel if he beats Kurt Angle, what is supposed to be their top pay-per-view, and Angle's supposed to be the top heel, and he's the top face. You kind of want those two kind of facing each other. You don't want, if you want that to happen, it should be right there at that pay-per-view at that time. Get AJ Styles over. AJ Styles his push reminds me a lot of, and his reaction from the fans reminds me a lot of the '95 Shawn Michaels reaction. All of a sudden, he just started to take off, and fans just started reacting to him, kind of out of the blue.
Well, Bowman, thank you very much for calling in with that very insightful discussion. As usual, we do need to take a time out. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.
Failure Dragon.
This is what you asked for. What's wrong with that?
I asked for the beginning of the song. I wanted to hear the whole thing. I wanted to hear the build-up.
Nobody remembers because nobody watched.
Chat atmosphere, blow it up. Who remembers what song this is or who the guy was?
I remember. It's Disco Inferno because I watched it live when you asked for it. This is the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com. Damian Nelson, the man they call me, down here with you live with the home stretch of the program. And, of course, a couple of things we had to get to for sure, including the VI3.
I know what we're getting to, Daddy.
The VI3 and This Week in History first.
And your loss.
In history. Jeff Hardy. Today's his birthday. You say it's birthday. That's all I know. Born in 1977, 1 year after me. Jeff Hardy born. Ultimate Warrior. Spent about 8 seconds defeating the Honky Tonk Man for the Intercontinental Championship at SummerSlam 1988. Was that match made in heaven, match made in hell?
Possibly.
And Kevin Nash defeated Booker T for the WCW title in the year 2000, and I know most of you listening never saw that because it was on WCW TV. Let's go to the VI3 meathead. Each week we pick the top 3 talents in professional wrestling, 1 singles, 1 tag, 1 female, and go.
What was that?
Sound effect.
Yeah, it was bad.
Soundbot. Speaking soundbots.
It was bad. Anyways, my broad of the week will be, and you got to excuse the cough. My broad of the week will be Daphne, who looked actually good against the chunky Asian chick.
You're just talking about that overhead shot when she was laying in the middle of the ring, spread out. Back with the program,
Tag
please.
team.
Back again. Whoop, there it is.
Tag team going out to Beer Money. And my singles wrestler of the week, AJ Styles.
And the definitive VI3, the one all of you tuned in to listen to tonight, my singles competitor is the Viper, Randy Orton. My female competitor is going to be Mickie James. And my tag team spot goes to Beer
Money.
Let's go to the phone lines. Our last caller of the night on the West Coast, San Francisco, California. Austin, you're live on the Pro Wrestling Report.
Hey, can you hear me?
Austin, the city, or
we can hear you now, Austin. Go ahead.
Great. I had a question. Well, not a couple questions, actually. First of all, I'm disappointed with Cody Rhodes' writing this week. I mean, he had a perfect opportunity to wrestle and wrestle Randy Orton like Ted DiBiase did with several weeks ago. I don't know why they let him. He watched Dusty Rhodes get beaten up and all that, but it could have been a really great way to elevate him if he actually had the same program as he did as Ted DiBiase did. What are your thoughts on that?
I thought it would have been a bit too cliched if he would have slapped his daddy. I mean, they even brought it up tonight. And not that he needed to do more than that, but I think he was elevated by being in that main event. I mean, remember, it was a one-on-one match, at least by design, between Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. I'm sorry, and with John Cena as the referee. How else would that happen?
Yeah, it's just that DiBiase did such a great job, a great match with Randy Orton when they did their match and everything.
Well, then you see a better talent apparently in DiBiase, and maybe they felt that Orton wasn't going to be able to work with Rhodes. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, my other question is, like, Marvel Comics, they got acquired by Disney today.
Yeah, I heard that. Big news.
What do you thought? I mean, like Linda McMahon, she once said that that WWF is like a mini Disney. What are your thoughts on Disney buying Marvel Comics, buying WWF, like, down the line, like 10 years away or something?
Maybe to be finally PG-14.
Well, just any media conglomerate. I mean, they would love to have a piece of WWE, but remember, the true death of WCW was AOL Time Warner. No matter what else was happening with the business, they canceled the TV shows because they didn't want to be affiliated with a wrestling program. TNT was moving in a different direction. They now know drama. And
wrestling is drama.
That was the true death of WCW, which was barely talked about on the DVD released by WWE last week. That was the true death of WCW. You don't want to get into that situation. WWE being a publicly owned company but a privately run company is the way WWE wants to stay. If we got to that point down the road where a major media conglomerate did take over WWE, that would be a bad day for wrestling. But WWE is trying to be that major media conglomerate itself.
Okay. Well, thanks for setting it up.
Thank you for joining us, Austin, from San Francisco, California, our last caller of the night. Meathead, we had a fantasy draft a couple of months ago.
No. We have been kind of one-sided here. Why don't you tell the story the way it's supposed to be?
The results of the voting for the fantasy pay-per-view of the month in August, due to some website problems,
58
is not available.
No, excuse me, 65.9 to 34.1.
We are still waiting.
This was an ass kick is what it was.
No. We are still waiting for the West Coast. So 540 ESPN is not ready to project.
I don't have to project. I'm going to tell you the truth.
These are exit polls.
I'm going to tell you the truth, Damien. Do you want to hear the truth? Can you handle it? The truth is that, unfortunately, you don't have the mental acumen to go one-on-one with me.
You don't even know what acumen is.
You don't have it.
Nor do you know what a write-off is.
You don't have it to go one-on-one with me. This will mark the third pay-per-view in a row where I have dominated you. Again, I've stolen Mickie James.
No.
You've
stolen votes. I want a recount, and if the recount doesn't go in my favor, I want another recount. And if that recount doesn't go in my favor, I want a hand recount. And if that doesn't go in my favor, I'm going to let the Supreme Court decide. And then and only then might I decide that I might concede.
Al, if you will, you're going to lose the presidency here. Again, one's smarter than the other, and unfortunately, you're not the smart one. You don't have the creative juices that I have. It's unfortunate that WCW is winning again. Bah! My sheep are right behind me. Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
3 minutes and we're out of here. The clock is ticking and we're in the clear. We got 3 minutes.
Ric Flair is surrounded by controversy again in his life, Meathead. Apparently, he owes money back to Ring of Honor and potentially some other wrestling organizations that may have fronted us some cash for some engagements that he did not participate in.
Yeah.
Ric Flair also reportedly offered or was being considered for an opportunity to return to WWE in a non-wrestling role a few months back. That certainly fell through or appears to have fallen through. Ric Flair could be falling back on hard times. Meathead, your thoughts?
Ric Flair needs wrestling. Unfortunately, wrestling doesn't need Ric Flair.
Very well put. Very well done. It's a shame because Ric Flair, I mean, he's a legend. He's a man who can be very successful, but one would wonder at times how stable he is.
Mentally and financially.
Yes, indeed. Well, we'll get more information on that as it becomes available. Pertaining to Ric Flair, some late-breaking news that we found out today, in addition to Christopher Daniels being arrested last Friday for driving under the influence of alcohol. He blew a .14.
That's not good.
Not good at all for Christopher Daniels.
Especially with him looking just like you, they don't want to pull you over. Because you already lost your black card. You lost your black card a long time ago.
We want to make sure you visit pwrshow.com. The merchandise is on the site.
Have you not seen the merchandise yet? And when we close out, I'm going to jam the camera with our T-shirts By the way, you know what T-shirt that we have available now, Damien? Just became available about a day ago. We'll do it live!
We did it live tonight. We're going to do it live better next week. We'll be back with you again next Monday night, Labor Day, a special Labor Day edition of the Pro Wrestling Report. Next Monday night right here on 540 ESPN. Thank you to our listeners all over the world and, more importantly, here in southeastern Wisconsin. For the man they call Meathead, for the cause, and for Dave Hero, this is Damian Nelson saying thanks for tuning in to the Pro Wrestling Report on 540 ESPN and ESPNMilwaukee.com.